Hey, how you doing? Good afternoon. Welcome to the book club. Another day out here. Great. We started with a new book here, Martyr Adamsburg, Cleopatra's Riches. There's a second week doing this, and we're going on to chapter one. We did an introduction last week. So this week we'll go on to chapter one and begin to dig into the book. Let me bring up my slides here and we'll just go ahead with this. Great. You all can see my slide here. So we're going to chapter one. It's a fourth book in our series with our book club. Again, our first book was For Purposes of Life. Second one, Believe It. One we just finished here, Don't Drop the Mic. And here we are into Cleopatra's Riches. And I love this because I love talking about money. I love money. I love talking about money. So I'm all excited about this. All right, let's go ahead and do this. Last week we talked about money quiz, just to know where you are on the money and financial empowerment. What they call that thing now, scale, right? So if you can go on to martinadamsmedia.com resources, you can answer the quiz, take the quiz, then we'll just tell you where you stand on the financial empowerment scale, right? That will help you, just helping you know where you are and how much more work you need to do as we go ahead. All righty, just diving straight into the chapter. Chapter one is all about talking about origins and upbringing, right? Like we said last week, this is all about just going back to know where all the different things that affect our money decision, right? As we try to empower ourselves financially, we need to know all the things that control us. Again, we remember we quoted Carl Gustav Jung last week. He says that we have a lot of unconscious things that are controlling us, which lead us to what we call fate. For as long as we don't understand those unconscious things, we assume that we're destined to be who we are, or fate is the one that's determining what's happening in our lives. But that's not true, right? It's not fate, it's not necessarily destiny. It's the unconscious things that are stored up in our subconscious mind that is directing our lives. And if it's directing our lives in the part that we weren't, great. But if it's not, we need to understand those unconscious things and tune them in a way that will produce the result we want in our life. We don't have to be poor. We're not destined to be poor. We're destined to be like God because we're representative of God here. Anything that is in our life that's making us any less than God is things that need to change. And one of the ways of doing it is looking back as to what is the thing in my life that is bringing this thing to bear, and correct those things so you can get the right results, right? In doing that, we begin by looking at our origin. Today's an introduction. Tomorrow we'll begin to dive more. Next week we'll dive more into it. But here we're just going to introduce origin and upbringing and just tell ourselves what they are and in what such a way they could possibly affect us, affect the results that we're getting in our money journey, right? And next week we'll dive more into it and talk about how to deal with them and correct them. But this week we'll just do an introduction into this, right? And that's a quote that matters. Starts the chapter with. I can say I have the fullness of understanding the quote itself. That for me, it's just the fact that the feedback you get tells you of the effect that you have, right? I do a lot. I do a lot of engagement and social media, several topics, several media, and I don't necessarily get all the feedback, to tell me what direction I'm going, other than me listening to my subconscious mind and being able to, by that evidence, know whether I'm doing well or not. But once in a while, I do get feedbacks, and that helps a lot, just to direct me and lead me in achieving that which I want to achieve. All right, Han, you're welcome.
Yeah, Uncle, good morning.
Morning. Yeah. I'm not doing with my headphones today, so I'm gonna put my ears very out to listen to you. I'm hoping I'm going to survive. If I don't, I might have to get up and go get my other headphone. The one I was using here got spoiled, so I might have to go for my old one.
Oh, okay.
But I'm hearing you so far. How are you doing?
Well, okay, just getting ready to.
Great. Good to have you here. How are the boys?
Oh, the boys are fine. Just trying to get ready for church.
Say that again.
Well, I said the boys are good, just trying to get ready for church real quick.
For church, all right. Yes, we wanted to go do Resurrection Sunday, so we're gonna get done with this fast, so you can join them. All right. So we're just trying to go through chapter 1. I mean, I don't know if you've read it, but we're gonna do it chapter by chapter, so you have no excuse not to read them, because it's short. They're not long chapters.
Okay.
Yeah. If you can read them, it'll be great. So just so you can get into the spirit of the whole gist. Sure. So I mean, this chapter just talks about the ways. Well, just going back, first of all, bringing out the point, the fact that our origin and our upbringing affects our money decisions, right? That's the first thing. We're not going to go in depth this week. Next week we'll continue going in depth. This week is just pretty much introducing what our origins and our upbringings are, right? And we'll do a bit more next week, just going deeper into it. But it's just the fact that our origin and our upbringing affect the decisions we'll make around money, right? A lot of us make decisions around money and we're surprised how we'll make them. I see my wife, make some decisions that surprises me, but it's just because she's imprisoned by something in her upbringing that's making her do those things, and she needs to work on that, because that limits you. If you don't have control of it and it's controlling, it can limit you how far you can go, but we'll talk a bit more of that today and as we go on next week also. So I'm going to go on to the next slide here, and just talking about the fact that we're all storytellers at heart, right? We all want to tell a story about what we know, where we've been, what has happened to us, the incidents of our life. And I know you are very good at storytelling, right? We all have a different aptitude to it. But the key thing is that we all enjoy talking about our success, our victory, and things that leave an emotional dent or mark or scar in our lives. Become stories that we love to either share or keep to heart, right? And those affect us, right? Those stories affect us. And what we're trying to do is remind ourselves about the fact that they affect us, and tell ourselves how the need for us to spin those stories in a way that they affect us positively and not negatively, right? So we're trying to look at those stories. Typically, we just say those stories about what happened, but there's more to those stories than what happened. The truth is, the reason why we say the way we say it is because they affect our emotion. They affect how we feel, right? And if they affect how we feel, it mars us. It affects our being, our belief, our tendency, our acumen, our disposition, our perspective, right? And those perspectives include our perspective around money, and it affects and if we don't understand how it affects us, if it affects us negatively, we're going to see the result of the negative effect, right? What we're trying to do here is look at some of those negative and see how we can reduce a negative and make them positive so that we can get the positive effect on our money story, our money history, our money journey, right? That's the whole essence of what we're trying to do, right? Trying to get a positive spin from our upbringing, right? Because it affects us and we're trying to get off the negative part of it. Yeah, the positive one, great. We're just trying to see the negative ones that might be an hindrance to us becoming all that we want to be from a money perspective, and see how we can erase those negative and bring positives out of them, right? The quote here, like I mentioned earlier on, is the same one by Carl Gustav Jung, and it just says that when the unconscious controls us and we don't know what it is, we then say that, oh, destiny, fate. But there's really no destiny, there's no fate. There are things that are stored in our unconsciousness that are directing us, which we can change if we know them. And we know them and can control them and spin them in such a way that it will affect us positively. You know, that's the whole idea we're trying to get out from here. So we just talked about stories, right? Typically, when we talk about stories, we don't necessarily go into the way it makes us feel, but the truth is that every event of our life affects us in one sense or the other, positively, negatively, gives us joy or no joy, all of that. And that affects that determines the way it affects our belief, you know. And here we're just talking about the questions we need to ask about the events of our life is, how did it make us feel? What kind of emotions do we carry from those experiences? And what kind of perspective did we derive from that? And that goes a long way to affect us. And what Atta put together in this book is what she calls a 4-hour approach, looking at each of those stories. I will recognize those events, right, and reconcile them, right? See what they are and what are the negatives in them, what are the positives in them, release the negative, draw out the positive, and continue to repeat the positive. Let the positive have sway in our lives and in the way we do things, right? So pretty much that's what's broken down there. You recognize the belief that you've come to you based on your occurrence in your life or your upbringing. You reconcile it, whether it's serving you or it's not serving you. What is serving you, great, hold it as positive. What's not serving you, we need to diagnose it, as it were, and release the negative and draw positives out of it, or what we call reframe it. Frame it in such a way that you can draw out positives out of it, right? And we'll look at examples as we go along, right? And we can release the negative with gratitude and take the positive and repeat it in our lives, right? As we do this, it's what you might call a detox process. You are detoxing yourself of negatives and you are allowing positives into your life to walk your life, right? All right. So, and that will affect the way we earn money. It will affect the way we grow and how we enjoy the money or not. You know, depending on people's perspective to life, some people have money, but they don't enjoy it because of the belief they've had in them. And they are not enjoying it. Either makes them to think that the money will soon go away and they continue to go for more and they are never satisfied, or they just allow the money to fizzle away, right? All based on the beliefs they have inside of them, right? And I'll just keep, there are different things we get from our upbringing. And anyway, this is just talking about origin. I had an example in mind, right? All right, so this is just talking in general. Here, it will break down what is the difference between origin and upbringing, right? Origin is simply talking about where we come from, our parents, where they come from, all of that has history, belief system that come with it, right? You know, uh, we have superstition, sentiment, different things that we believe. I know my sister normally says things like, that maybe it's not our star, just to be going out, and all of that stuff. The impression I get is we're just keeping to ourselves. But you see, that will not work for you in the financial realm. The business I'm doing today, I need people to get it done, right? When the people that are working for me are people that I don't even know I'm meeting them for the first time. But you see, if I stayed with the belief that I grew up with, I would not be where I am today, right? Because I started doing things through someone I'd never seen in my whole life before. I only met on Facebook, and I was counseling. Yet I was entrusting this person to buy farmland, right? Never met the person, right? The second staff I had, never met him, right? And I was employing these people, paying them salary, right? Met them for the first time months after I'd already employed them. But you see, I was able to do that because I've gone above the limitations of my origin, right? I was able to trust people enough to give them the benefit of doubt. Right now, I'm doing NAFDAC registration and running it for me are people that, the main person running it for me went to school together. I've not seen him. I left secondary school in 1983, right? I've not seen him since then. So you can look how many years since 1983. But yet he's the one doing all those runs for me, right? Someone else is production manager, not seen him in years, right? But that's just you being able to break beyond limitations of where you're coming from and be able to do what you need to do to progress your life, right? But we'll talk a bit some more about that. But we need to understand those beliefs that come from based on where our parents, our family system, our culture, and those culture could also be church, whatever. Question is analyzing all of those and getting the wheat out of the shaft, taking the shaft out and throwing it away, and taking what truly is wheat, what is meat, what adds value to you, right? That's the way to get momentum and progress in life, right? And so I'm going to jump all of that, but all of that is just a summary of all I've said so far. So just still repeating, the 4-step process is the fact that we're able to look at the events of our life, right? And being able to look at them, whatever the belief is, we're able to look at whether it's serving us, not serving us. We'll take the things that are serving us, put aside the shaft, and release them, with gratitude, and repeat the things that are serving us so that we can get more out of life, and not just emphasizing again an upbringing, right? It's one thing about where you come from, but also how you grew up, right? Which includes the friends you met, elementary school, secondary school, all of those influence your life. And we rob something from each of those experience of our life, right? Whether the church you went, all of that. But all of those have left with us baggages, belief systems, which are either working for us or against us. All we're trying to do at this early stage here is look at those things, tell ourselves, are they influencing me positively or negatively? And what are the things I might need to correct amongst these things? So that I can progress and be all that I want to be in life, right? That's in a summary of what chapter 1 is.